Welcome to Vinny Politan Investigates. I'm Ted Rollins. Filling in for Vinny, the subject of our investigation is a 15-year-old boy who hasn't been seen since February 25th, when his mother says he went to bed and the next morning he was gone. Days have turned into weeks and weeks into months, but the search continues for Sebastian Rogers. Here is his story. Inside this beautiful neighborhood in Hendersonville, Tennessee, there's an unsolved mystery. It was a Sunday night going into a Monday morning, and 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers was supposed to be inside his home sleeping. His mother, Katie Proudfoot, says Sebastian went to bed around 9 o'clock, but was making some noises an hour later, including, she says, a thud sound. Katie says she told him to go to sleep, and she herself went to bed at midnight. Then, at 6 a.m., Katie says she woke up, went into Sebastian's room to get him ready for school, but he was gone. Sebastian's stepfather, Chris Proudfoot, wasn't at home, and his father was 45 minutes away at work. Police responded and began trying to figure out what happened. That was February 26, 2024. And as the days and weeks, now months have passed, there's still no sign of Sebastian, no sign of foul play, and no answers about what happened. Did someone harm Sebastian? Did he just walk away? We're searching for those answers as we investigate the mysterious disappearance of Sebastian Rogers. And for weeks after Sebastian's disappearance, a massive search effort took place over the areas of Tennessee, near and far from Sebastian's home in Hendersonville. Multiple law enforcement agencies participated. There was ground, aerial, water searches. Nothing has led to the return of Sebastian. Now, official law enforcement agencies, they've completely dialed back, at least with organized searches, but another group of investigators is still working very hard to find him. Here is an update we received today from Dog the Bounty Hunter and At Night Private Intelligence, a branch of One World. New leads suggest possible sightings or related activity in Oregon and New York. And we are pursuing all tips with heightened urgencies, and that brings us to our first question of this hour, and that's an obvious one. Where is Sebastian Rogers tonight, as so many people continue to look for him and worry about this young man? Let's bring in Dwayne Chapman, a.k.a. Dog the Bounty Hunter. He's with us. He's joined this search effort for Sebastian, and he has dedicated a lot of resources, including his time, and attorney Joe Lesniak, who's assisting with the legal aspects of this search. Good evening to both of you. Dog, let's start with the updates. Where are we here? And if you could, just give us a little bit of more detail on these possible leads in specifically, it sounds like the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, and then something over on the New York-Canadian border.
Well, first of all, you know, I appreciate you having us on the show, and I'm glad my lawyer's there. Let me tell you something, because sometimes I stick my foot in my mouth. So, Mr. Joe, are you there, brother?
I'm here, Dog.
Thank you, sir. So, first of all, I don't mean to spin this, but you said a lot of law enforcement and volunteers and all that were out there searching. Let me tell you the truth, and nothing but the truth. Chris Proudfoot was threatening all kind of people that they should go home. Why are they there? He allegedly sprayed some neighbor with water, you know, because they were asking. So a lot of people, let's say, tried to, you know, help and volunteer, but Proudfoot and his cronies, or maybe by himself, was threatening them, stopping them. And I don't know why the people that were threatened and you know, threatened by him allegedly didn't call the police, or what is it called, the TBI? I don't know why the TBI hasn't done nothing, unless they're neck deep in it too. I talked to one of the guys, and you know, it was ridiculous. We want the FBI, the marshals. We need the FBI. We need the marshals in on this, and let me tell you about them. They will find what happened to the little boy. They will find Sebastian what happened to him.
What do you think happened to him, Dwayne? I mean, it seems it's very hard to get your head around that he has not turned up after this long of a period of time. Do you believe he was abducted? Is he? What's your gut telling you now that you know enough and have invested enough here? What's your gut say?
Well, first of all, please call me dog. That's okay to call me dog. And there's a lot of possibilities. Okay, the worst possibility, of course, you could guess that. But we've checked into sex slaves. There's a lot of kids that are autistic that it's unbelievable, from 5 to 18 years old, little boys and little girls that are in the sex trade. They're catching them right now all over Tennessee. They just caught a kid, I think 8 or 9 years old, yesterday or the day before. So, we want to show those kids pictures of Sebastian. We want to show them those little kids got, sometimes they can ID someone a lot better than anyone else. So we want to show those kids pictures. But again, the ones that I guess found the kids is the TBI. I hate to sound redundant, but we need the federal marshals and we need the feds in on this.
You mentioned the Proudfoots, Chris and Katie Proudfoot. Katie Proudfoot, for those who haven't been following this, is the mother of Sebastian. She was the last person to see him. Chris, the stepfather, and we invited them on tonight. We did get a hold of them. They declined. Joe,
Of course they will.
There's been some pretty nasty rhetoric going on online. Not only, not just people attacking the Proudfoots, but Seth Rogers has been the victim here of a lot of hate. Where is that coming from?
I think a lot of people have a lot of time on their hands. Chris, I think what happens is they get caught up in their own rhetoric, as you said, and their own story, and they want to try and create headlines. They want to try and create something that's not there. They create smoke, and then they point to the smoke that they created. And you're sitting there going, stop, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. And yet they don't care because the smoke generates more advertising, more smoke, and more people. And they attack not only Seth, but anybody who's aligned themselves with Seth Rogers. Seth is and Dog and all these individuals are trying to help find this young man, and they constantly are attacking anybody who's ever latched on to Seth Rogers and the search for Sebastian. And that should send up signals. I've been practicing in the criminal defense and criminal prosecution world for almost 20 years and prosecute sexual offenders and other types of cases, kidnapping cases. And it should send up a red flag to law enforcement of people who are degrading and putting down and trying to drag through the mud the people who are helping. And so these bloggers and these content creators, there are some that are very helpful and getting the name out and the information out. And then there are others who are just, like you said, dragging people through the mud for their own education and their own desires to get headlines and people to come and listen to them. And to me, as Andy Warhol said, everybody gets their 15 minutes of fame, but their 15 minutes are up. And we're tired of it. And we're not going to sit tight and let these people utilize these powerful platforms online to drag and defame individuals who are trying to find, one who's trying to desperately find his son, and others who are trying to find this young man on behalf of his father and his family. And so we have taken action, and we are moving forward in everything we can to stop it and continue doing investigation here, and that is to find Sebastian.
Dog, when you have a mother who does not seem to want to participate in the search for her child, at least publicly, what does that tell you, mother and stepfather, the Proudfoots I'm speaking of?
Well, brother, I'll leave that up to your viewers to decide. As far as I've done this way over 40 years, and I lost a baby girl, Barbara Katie, at 22 years old. 19 years ago, I barely still can talk about it. So that is like unbelievable And I also heard that there's witnesses that once Sebastian was in the front yard and Chris Proudfoot was screaming at him, and he called him a retard, and Sebastian hit the ground and started bawling. So, I mean, you know, all these, what is the old saying, all roads point to Rome? I mean, you know, this is like almost obvious.
Well, if they were involved, though, Doug, then one would think they didn't have a ton of time. They didn't have a ton of sophistication, one would think. Where is Sebastian, and how could they, let's say the worst did happen, how would they have gotten away with it? Is this a shoddy investigation from day one?
Well, you know, somewhat. You know, somewhat. It's the police officer, it's the TBI. I guess their lead guy is ahead of it. So yeah, you know, put blame where it falls. That guy, it's just incredible. I can't believe that. You know, but what so far what our leads could say, there is a manhole right in front of the Proudfoot's property, and they've said, yeah, the drone or the cops, somebody said, they flew drones in there, and there's like 3 foot of mud, okay? Then a dog, a really good dog, 2 of them, one of them stopped at the edge of the pond that was drained, and the other one jumped in the pond. You know, if Sebastian was put down that manhole into the mud, the scent would have carried to that pond. So I want to know why they haven't blocked that off, got in some kind of suit, and went on their hands and knees and looked in that, you know, that manhole and all the way to the pond. Dogs, you know, their sense of smell is so much more than a human being. And for a German Shepherd to jump in the water, well, they drain the pond. Yeah, because he could be in that manhole, in that little, you know, cave, whatever they call it, inside there where it drains to that pond. So there's a lot of things that the TBI could be doing and haven't done nothing. Now, I heard they flew a drone in there. Well, you know how muddy that is and how thick a mud is in there? You know, flying a drone on top inside is not going to do nothing.
Yeah. All right, we're going to get a break. Coming up next, we're going to ask what is the current status of the investigation. Our guests are going to stay with us. Be back with more right after this.
There is no evidence to support foul play is involved in the disappearance of Sebastian.
But at this point, you don't rule it out?
We're not ruling anything out.
At this point, we don't have any evidence. There is not any kind of an indication that there is a criminal element involved. But we are keeping options open. We don't know what has happened. We don't know where Sebastian is right now, so we are pursuing any and all avenues.
That was Sumner County Sheriff's deputies Eric Craddock and Susan Hyland of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. She was the second person, obviously, at a press conference in the months after Sebastian was reported missing. About the same time, Deputy Craddock spoke with reporter Nick Barris from WTVF in Nashville about whether or not they had cleared anybody from the immediate family as being a suspect in this case. Take a listen.
We have not cleared anyone, but we have absolutely no evidence to support foul play.
That was in April of 2024, a little more than a month into the search for Sebastian, and the official word from police was that nobody's been cleared, but still there's no evidence of foul play, yet one would think that foul play absolutely is involved here. And that brings us to our next question. What is the current status of this investigation so many months after Sebastian Rogers first went missing? We still have with us Doug the Bounty Hunter and his lawyer to keep him in check, Joe Lesniak. Doug, you're in Tennessee. what's going on? Is there anything you can share with us in terms of new developments in your investigation?
Officers, I respect law enforcement so much, and they were saying way back then that they had no leads. Okay, nobody should be charged or blah blah blah. But now, what about now? What about today? What about last week? I think you guys need to do interviews now. Update everybody. What about right now after all these things have come forward? And a lot of people online, whatever, are saying, dog, what gives you the right? What gives you the right? You're a bounty hunter. What gives you the right? Well, what gives me the right is Tennessee has one of the greatest of all time laws. It's called the Citizen's Right to Arrest Law. You talk about booting a door in and going in and grabbing them. I can do that. I'm a citizen. Whether I'm Dog the Bounty Hunter, Dwayne Lee Chapman, or I have the right as a citizen of the United States of America to put in custody and take out the person that hurt or whatever happened to little Sebastian.
So, are you onto something?
Yes, sir.
Can you share?
Well, no, because they'll run. I know who the weakest link is. You get in Tennessee, brother, that's the death penalty. That is the death penalty. Would they rather go to lethal injection, or would they rather be paroled in 20 years or something? They still would have time to, live a life. So that Tennessee carries the death penalty.
Let me get this straight. You're on to a lead. You're there in Tennessee. You're actively pursuing it. And
yes, sir.
Now, I get that you have the right to move forward with what you believe is possibly detaining an individual or two, or I don't want any details because you're being cagey, but do you have to alert law enforcement before you make any sort of a move to let everybody know, hey, I'm here and here's what I'm doing?
No, sir. I don't have to alert no one. I cannot transport. I can arrest, cuff, and then the cops come or whoever to read that person their rights, and transport them to jail. I can do everything but read them their rights or transport. But under the law, in the United States of America, I can arrest.
Give us a little hint. Like, did you is this someone who has always been part of the landscape, or is this something new? And don't jump in, Joe, and have them stop.
Yeah, well, I have to jump in and have them stop. Dwayne, a dog, you can't, yes, Ted, both of them are possibly right. So good questions, but yes. So yeah, there's a private investigator also involved that we need to keep secure as well. So I know you're looking for information, but we got to be careful how far we go.
Talk about then. All right, we're going to let this play out, and hopefully we'll be one of your first calls when you make a break in this case. We're all hoping that, because that's what everybody's hoping for. In fact,
well, I carry a film crew with me everywhere I go, brother.
Yes, the reward up to $170K, $175,000. That's a lot of money. There seems to be a lot of interest in this country still. In finding Sebastian, which is fantastic. Can you talk about the people that you have behind you, Dog, that are helping to support your investigation?
Well, there's several, many, and I can't name their names, but it's all, it's not like we're preaching in a church and taking offering, but there are a lot of people that have pledged their money to it's kind of tricky about rewards, okay? We want what happened to Sebastian. So the reward goes to whoever can tell us where Sebastian is and or what happened to him. And Joe, I hope this doesn't get me in trouble, but brother, since you've heard all this, and you guys are good at court TV, and who do you think did it?
Joe won't let me answer, so I'm just leave it at that.
Attorney Ted, go ahead.
Yeah, gentlemen, thank you for all you're doing, and because the goal is here to find this young man, find Sebastian Rogers, hopefully alive and well. Joe Lesniak, Dwayne Chapman, Dog the Bounty Hunter, thank you both for everything, and keep us updated, please, as this continues, this investigation.
Well, thank you for having us on and keeping this at the forefront. It's shows like this that really help to, like you said, keep it moving forward and keep it on people's minds, because as time goes on, you know, we as American people will lose sight of it. So thank you.
You got it. All right. I'm Ted Rollins. We're going to keep digging for answers as this investigation continues.